The guy that brought me in there, Jim, they all had suits on, and I walked in with my shorts on and my shirt, and he just kind of put his head on the table like, what the fuck? It's funny, as soon as you start doing well and you don't really need it, that's when the money comes from the bank, right? And during COVID, I put a post on LinkedIn, and it got 500,000 views. I remember 3 years ago, I was laying on my bedroom floor, 450,000 in debt, going, how the fuck am I going to do this? You know, you just have to keep pushing, and you need people that believe in you, and just keep doing it.
Welcome to the Sinclair podcast, where we share real-world experiences, wisdom, and the honest struggles of entrepreneurs to help you navigate and scale your business with confidence.
Geoff Tait, thanks, brother. I appreciate you coming on today. It's an honor to have you. You're a legend, and I appreciate you making the time.
Happy to be here, man. It's I don't know about legend, but I'll take it. I think you're probably the only one that'll ever call me that, so it's appreciated.
It's a pleasure. I was thinking leading up to this week, it was about 25 years ago we met. So my best buddy, James McGregor, and your cousin, it was probably, I think we were 15 or 16 when I'd start to hear about you. And then probably a couple years after that, I had a chance to meet.
I don't think we were 15, 16 when we were having beers, were we? But maybe we were.
No, not us. Not at all. Not in your business. I was laughing too. Why don't we start off with Bob Loblaws? Because I mean, that was really one of the first ways that I got to know you.
Yeah, man. So yeah, I guess I could say I started my first company when I was in high school. It was called Bob Loblaw, which was just Bob Loblaw, which was ridiculous. So we were making hats. We were watching Baywatch. My buddy and I watching Baywatch, making hats in my living room. And then we would sell them out of our locker in high school. So that was where the Bob Loblaw came from. That was the first entrepreneurial trip I went down, and then we started making beach pants and all that stuff. But yeah, it was pretty cool. It's just kind of how I learned how to do a little bit of business stuff.
You had lots of hustle early on, by the sounds of that. I remember the hospital pants, right? Like that was the huge phase, the logos on the back, and
yeah,
that was one of the product lines, I think, too.
They're
right?
cool, man. And I even took them over. I went to university in Australia, and I took them over there, and I sold them on the beach, and I became the beach pant guy, and it got me a few free drinks, and it was pretty cool to meet the people that were wearing the pants in Australia.
That's cool. Let's start with, tell me a little bit about growing up and family life and sort of what got you in some of the industries like golf and we'll say booze, where you are now.
Yeah, so I started working when I was 12. To be honest with you, I was at a golf club, St. Thomas Golf Club, and I loved working. My parents weren't pushing me to do it. I just wanted to go work there and kind of learn the ins and outs of the golf world. So I was picking the range, washing clubs, and having fun doing that stuff. I loved golf. Started golfing when I was 6. Again with my parents, and they kind of brought me out onto the course, and haven't looked back since. I've been in the golf business in some way, shape, or form for probably about 30 years. From working at the golf club, I started a golf clothing company called Quagmire Golf. And then I got the real honor of actually doing a license deal with a guy named Arnold Palmer. Arnold wanted me to reinvent his clothing for North America, mainly the U.S., and make it younger, hipper, cooler, and kind of give it a little more of a retro vibe. So we got to call it Arnie, and I got to go into his house and pull out all the stuff that he wore back in the 50s and 60s. I got to go to the Masters with him. I got to do all kinds of cool shit. So, and then from there, once that kind of dropped out, we had some business partner issues, and then I started a brand called Triple Bogey, and that's where we are today.
Incredible. I got about 400 questions, but take me back maybe to the early days of Quagmire Golf, and really when did you see the opportunity, and what was the plan when you were building that out early on?
Yeah, so when I was working at a golf club, I didn't want to be tucking my shirt in. I didn't want to be wearing the same stuff as my dad. No offense to my dad, and my grandpa or whatever. So once I kind of got out of working at a golf club, I decided, why not make some cool golf clothes that young people could actually wear, and young and old, but people that wanted to have a little style. So I went to college at Humber College and did the golf management program just to have a little degree. Not a little degree, but a degree. And then I went to university in Australia. And in Australia, I kind of started doing up a little business plan for the Quagmire golf stuff. So I actually I learned how to manufacture in Australia. I learned how to do a bunch of stuff there, like to mass manufacturing, and I was making those beach pants, but I knew that I was going to build this golf clothing line called Quagmire. And yeah, from there it just kind of went. I kind of used the contacts that I had from meeting people from working at the golf club, and we sold into a few shops to start with. And we were the first ones to kind of make young, funky golf clothes. Now everybody's doing it, like with the colors and the prints and all that stuff. And we were kind of the first of our of our kind. So it was cool.
So you came back to Canada, and I remember you were doing manufacturing, I mean, out of Toronto, correct?
Yeah, we were. So I came back to Canada, and I actually went and worked on the cruise ships for a couple of years as well. Kind of finished the business plan and wanted to kind of have a little more fun before I started diving headfirst into putting all my money into the clothing business. So I did that. I moved down to Venezuela after that, and I did some teaching there while I was doing a bunch of stuff to start the business. And then I came back to Canada, and then I was sleeping on my buddy's couches. Shout out to Tyler Keenan, and a bunch of people that kind of let me freeload on their couches while I was starting this thing. So I would drive back from Toronto to St. Thomas, where I grew up, and I would wait tables on the weekends at my sister's restaurant, and then
No way.
I would drive back on Monday morning and find somebody's couch to sleep on, and kind of keep building my own dreams.
So you understood the supply chain, like essentially the golf industry. You're showing them product in the fall or the winter. They're going to pre-book an order and fill their shops for spring. What was the strategy? Was it doing that? Just bringing something totally different? Because the other piece of it is, I'll never forget the first catalog you guys had, and when I started seeing the product, I mean, there are some big players in the industry now that absolutely copied everything you had. Like you were the first to market to bring cool looking golf clothes into the industry.
Yeah, thanks, brother. It seems to be the story of my life. I always kind of start things, and people love to copy. But as you said earlier,
It's the ultimate form of flattery.
Exactly.
It's also a pain in the ass. But
Exactly. So, yeah, I went to the golf buying shows with St. Thomas Golf Club with Dan Campbell. He was a bit of a mentor of mine. Well, he was a mentor of mine because he kind of taught me how to work. And we'd go to the golf buying show with suits on, and everybody else would kind of have their golf clothes on. He did it right. Like, he made a business plan. He did all that stuff. So I actually got to learn how the buying actually worked from a professional that kind of was doing it firsthand. And to be honest with you, I thought it was neat. So I thought I'd rather be on the other side of the table selling stuff to these guys walking around with the briefcases and a bunch of money to sell to their golf clubs. So I did. I kind of learned from everything that I've done, and there's nothing that I've done regretted that I haven't learned from.
So at that point, are you investing anything into inventory, or is it all collect the orders, do the pre-book, and just land the apparel in the spring for the courses?
We made samples. I mean, samples, you make a catalog, you do all that stuff. So you're in for, so I had a business partner at the time. His name was Bobby Pasternak, and we're buddies again. We weren't buddies for a little while once the company disbanded, but we're civil, and we're buddies again because some shit went down. But he was a good guy. Like, he had a great family behind him. So we both actually put in 10 grand or something like that. And that's kind of how we built the samples. I told him my idea. My idea was Quagmire. He said, yeah, I'll do it with you. And I knew that he had some contacts in kind of the celebrity world. His brother was a fitness trainer, or is a fitness trainer in LA. So we were hoping that we could kind of use some of those contacts to get the stuff on people's backs. And we both put in 10 grand each, and we made the samples. We did some, we seeded a few shirts here and there, and took our little catalog, and we think we probably got into 20 or 30 places on the first year, and that was cool, man. We were happy.
That's awesome. So it was off to the races from that point.
Yeah.
How many years in did you find that opportunity to work with Arnie?
So it was like, it's 2010, I think they called us and said, I got an email from IMG, a guy named Jim Niche, and he said, I thought it was a prank. I was like, who the fuck is this? Right. So, and it said, would you be interested in coming down to, at the time, it's still, IMG's head office was at TPC Sawgrass. And they said, would you be interested in coming down and talking to the Arnold Palmer people about making their clothing a little younger and cooler and whatever? And I was like, this can't be real. This is crazy. So it was I'd say about 5 years in. but they've just noticed that our stuff was younger, cooler, and they knew that theirs was kind of hurting and, mainly targeted towards older men and women or whatever.
Sure. It was like, I remember it as like the Sears line, right? Like that was one of their big
Yeah,
distribution
I
channels.
didn't want to say it out loud, but yeah, it was the Sears. It was all Sears, and it was literally like my 80-year-old grandpa was wearing the Arnold Palmer stuff, right?
Yeah.
So I went down. We made a few samples.
And at this point, so are you selling into the US, or is they caught the attention from
No, the guy
disruption in
in
Canada?
So IMG Canada was he. Luckily for me, the guy that was kind of doing most of the Arnold Palmer stuff was based in Canada, so he'd seen our stuff at pro shops, and he knew all about us because he was based in Canada. So yeah, it was neat, man.
Okay.
I went down and I went into the office where all these big wheel Arnold Palmer people were, and the guy that brought me in there, Jim, they all had suits on, and I walked in with my shorts on and my shirt, and he just kind of put his head on the table like, what the fuck did I just do? Why did I bring this clown
Who did we bring down?
into
Yeah.
the room?
Right off the beach.
Yeah, man. So then I did the presentation. I think Arnold's daughter was there, and Corey Britt, one of my good buddies, is vice president. All these big wheels that turned out to be honest with you, some of my best friends now. So it was pretty neat to do that. And then I went into his closet and pulled out all the stuff that he wore back in the 50s and 60s. So literally at his house, and I'm just like,
Still had samples.
what the hell am I doing
everything
here? Yeah, he kept everything. So he kept every glove he ever had. He kept every ball. He kept every club. Like, it's crazy. So.
No way. What an experience. I mean, again, a legend who, impacted the sport and has been a household name for decades and decades and decades. And you get a chance to go hang out at his house, meet his family. What was what are some of your fondest moments of the time with Arnie?
I'd say it's probably the first time I ever met him. It was in his office. I came in and I had a little bit of a scruff, and he said, "Oh, you forgot your razor." And I said right away, I knew he was going to say that. Everybody told me he was going to say that, and it's exactly what he said. But he was welcoming. I'd never met anybody that had such a presence as Arnold Palmer. And I met him in the later stages of his life too, so I could only imagine what he would have been like at 30 or 40 or whatever, right? This guy was 80 something, but he was still Arnold Palmer. And then one time I got to introduce him to my family and my wife's family. We did, it was pretty cool to kind of be in his inner circle. And the one time we went to the Masters, and he invited us down to Augusta, and he said, because he was playing in the par 3 contest in 2012, and lucky for me and unlucky for everybody else, the thing got rained out. So everybody else had to leave the property. And he said to me, "What do you want to do next?" And I'm like, "What do you mean, what do I want to do next? You're from fucking Augusta with Arnold Palmer. Like, what is all I really need to be doing?" He goes, "Well, give me 20 minutes and come up for a drink." And I said, "All right." So he was staying on the property. And we gave him 20 minutes, and he changed and whatever. And then my buddy Corey, the vice president, said, "Okay, you guys can go up now." And we went up, and he's sitting on the front or the back porch, I guess, looking over the golf course with Jack Nicklaus. So here I am at Augusta with Jack Nicklaus and Palmer. And Arnold was giving Jack the gears about something, and we sat down, we had a couple drinks, and then he was giving Jack the gears about having to go home to his wife or something like that too, and because he was leaving. And anyway, Jack smacked my belly and said, "You're doing a great job making Arnold Palmer's clothes." And we sat with Arnold for about 6 or 8 hours and drank kettle and vodka, and he told stories, and it was the most incredible day of my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
A story
other than my wedding.
Will never be able to experience.
Other than my wedding.
Yeah, and the birth of your children and your wedding. Yes.
I should say of my golf. How about that?
Yeah, that's awesome. Oh man, what an incredible story. And I love the pics obviously behind you and the signed flags. So maybe if you could share a little bit more on, the company obviously didn't work out, the partnership. What were some of the learning experiences from you?
I mean, it was tough. So back then I thought that the Quagmire was the be all and end all, and I would have had to, I was devastated. So we had some partnership issues with Quagmire, which was also attached to the Arnold Palmer license. Fortunately, we lost the Arnold Palmer license because of the Quagmire partnership that kind of didn't work out. We had 2 other business partners that were kind of the money behind it, and they were kind of the be all and end all and saying what we were going to do and how we were going to do it. And we just disbanded, and I came home, and I drove home in my BMW, and 3 days later I was trading it on the lot and trading it in for a different car that I could actually afford. I didn't have a job. I don't know. I didn't know how I went from owning a business that was attached to the Arnold Palmer license to his name, my own business that I started out of the back of my car. We were selling $4 or $5 million, right? And now all of a sudden,
And you were also on the verge of massive
yeah,
POs to
I had
get this
I
product out
I
in the
left the
US.
office with a $750,000 PO from J.C. Penney sitting on my desk, and shut the light off and told him we can't deliver it, right? So needless to say, I was
It's
devastated. Yeah,
heartbreaking.
man, it kind of put me in a ball on my bedroom floor, and I cried for days, and then I got up, and then I drank for days, and then I just still couldn't figure out how it all happened, because that was my life, and that was kind of how we were feeding my family. So then I'm going to give credit to my wife. She kind of picked me up off the ground and said, "Well, what the fuck are you going to do next then? Because this one,
Smack you around a bit.
yeah, I said, this one was good. See, why can't you do it again?" So I said, "I can't do that. I don't have the energy to reinvent myself again." And then I went and taught at a school. I went and taught at Durham College, some marketing, and I hated it. And I shouldn't say I hated it. I hated getting up in the morning, and it just wasn't for me, to be honest. And no offense, sorry if anybody's listening from Durham marketing.
But it wasn't your own thing,
No, it
is
wasn't my
what I
thing,
could
right?
probably
And I
identify, right?
hadn't worked for anybody since I was 18 or whatever, right? So I was like, okay, now I'm at the mercy of driving to school and being there at 8 o'clock and teaching these kids, and it wasn't my cup of tea. I did enjoy meeting all the kids, and we had a good time once I got there or whatever. Anyway, had a few other job interviews, and my wife said, "You can't take those jobs; you'll be miserable," and she was right.
No.
So then I started devising my plan for Triple Bogey.
So what got you? I mean, did you have any other plans? How'd you pick booze other than, of course, I know you like to throw back a beer too.
Who told you that? Guess we've done
It's
it.
rumors. I've never had one with you. I wouldn't know.
To be honest with you, the same thing. So had Quagmire, I actually wanted to start a Quagmire beer, like a beer that had to do with and thank God I didn't, because then that would have been attached to this whole shit show. And as it was, I didn't want to lose that anyway. So I said, well, you know what? I'll just, I sat there and went, golf needs its own beer. Let's focus on the golf world. That's what I know. That's the people that I know. That's the people that have always supported me. Nobody ever really wanted to write the bad story at the end of Quagmire, but they did. And they had to, because where did Quagmire go? Well, a lot of people said we went bankrupt. We didn't. It was just literally partnership shit that kind of went. We all still own it to this day. We all still own it. We just walked away from it because nobody wanted to deal with the other people. So I said, this time I'm going to keep it myself. I'm going to make sure that I have complete control. I'll do it. My buddies, same guy that let me sleep on his couch, he laughed at me. He said, "Are you fucking crazy, Tyler?" Well, look at me now. And my buddy Chris Thomas said the same thing. He's like, "You guys you're going to go up against Molson and Labatt's now?" And I said, "Yeah, why not?" So that was kind of it. I just kind of put my balls on the line and went, okay, let's try this again, and let's do it with beer, because I love drinking beer.
And I mean, outside looking in, I could see that it wasn't off the path, right? And you understood the industry, you knew golf. You're also a brilliant marketer, and I think that's the piece that a lot of people maybe they don't know or don't understand. But I mean, alcohol is so much marketing, right? To when you are up against 200 different beers or 500 different whatever. I mean, marketing and sales really is what sets you apart. So I love that you took those two things that you knew really, really well and went in on that. When you were starting out, what kind of capital did you require? Because I mean, you're I don't know if you're flat broke, but you left some chips on the table, and you're not in a good spot. So
Oh, I was flat broke, man. I had absolutely nothing. So I can say that to the point where we didn't know how we were going to pay rent. And my wife was working. I think she was working at BBC or something like that. She was doing some. I just don't know at the time where she was working, but she was working at BBC, and she was selling ads and stuff like that. So we had a bit of income coming in. So she was supporting us, and I was teaching or whatever. But I did go to, because we have a curling beer, I went to Glenn Howard and Jennifer Jones and Brent Lang, who've been friends of mine for years. And I said, would you guys be interested in throwing in some money into the kitty? And I'll give you a couple points, no control, but a couple points. And we can use your face and name and whatever to to kind of market our curling beer if we do that down the road, because golf and curling kind of go together. So it's because guys that golf curl in the wintertime, and so they would know our drinks and would figure it out. So they did that. So they put in some money. We got them paid back after a few years. So that's kind of where the initial dough came from. But ever since that, I've just bootstrapped the shit out of this thing. And, up until 2 years ago, I couldn't even get a loan from the bank anyway. And we were still selling a few $1,000,000 worth of beer. But it's just, you just got to keep growing. Now we're in a spot where all of a sudden, it's funny, as soon as you start doing well and you don't really need it, that's when the money comes from the bank, right?
Sure. Yeah, that's the prime time they want to give it to you.
Now I'm sitting on a giant line of credit, which I appreciate, and thank you for that to the banks. But when you first start out, you just gotta be, you just gotta do it, and you gotta be creative, and you gotta figure out how to. I just kept draining our own bank accounts. Like I just kept draining and filling them back up every year, kind of thing. And there goes our savings again. But hopefully, it'll pay off a couple of years from now, or whatever type of thing. And it has. So.
Hey, you've done incredible. Talk to me about the contract brew model, because from what I understand, when you launch, there's not a lot of people doing that. Like it's, you're going into an industry where traditionally you got to outlay a ton of capital, huge amount of dough for buildings, equipment, brewing, staff, versus a contract model that has exploded in the last decade.
It's bigger now. And I think people are starting to realize how much more efficient it is. And before, when I first started, everybody looked down their noses at me and went, "Oh, you're not making your own beer. You're not doing." Well, we are making our own beer. We have people actually physically making it. It's just, I just don't own the facility, right? So, and that kind of allowed us to be out there marketing, selling, doing all that stuff. And to be honest with you, I didn't really care about the other side of that side. I wanted to make sure that it was a good quality beer, but there's a lot of people that have a lot of passion for the beer business to make the beer and to, put the love into it and all that stuff. And we do that. And we do have a great brewmaster, and we do have great people that make it for us. But that said, we do it at Equals Brewing down in London, and I'll say, "Hey guys, we need 3,000 cases of lager this week," or, we do our projections and do all that stuff. And it's been working really, really well. They do a great job, and we kind of project 6 months in advance, and I can be almost completely hands off when it comes to the making. Obviously, you have to do all the scheduling and do all that stuff. But it's not unlike as if they were our own employees and doing all this stuff, because you still have to manage it and make sure that it's right and all that. And it's still actual people doing actual jobs, and it's great for the economy as well.
Yeah, for sure. I think there's definitely a misconception about what that means, but I think the flexibility has got to be a huge piece, right? Adding new product lines and upping production as needed as you scale.
Yeah, for sure. And that's what we needed. I mean, I don't know where we'd be if we built our own place. Yes, it would be great to come in and I'd have golf simulators all over the place and I'd do all kinds of cool shit. But the honest truth is, I like being out meeting people, as you said about marketing. I love doing all that stuff. So we'll let the experts take care of that, and we'll take care of the other side, and we're all making money. So
it's awesome. You go to any course down here in Niagara, which isn't your hood, and it's beer carts wrapped with triple bogey. It's giveaways for the golf leagues that the guys coming there. It's sponsorship in things like Golf Marathon and Wise Guys. I mean, you touch so many areas, and I know your schedule over the years. How crazy was, servicing that business also in Canada in a short season, right?
Yeah, it's still crazy, man. Because, now we're up to, I think we got 500 golf courses in Ontario alone. So we want to do and give them the exact same service as we can give when we had 50 golf courses, right? So it doesn't mean I have a ton more employees. I got people that actually know how to manage it, and they're really, really good at what they do. I have a great team, and I would say if you're going to give anybody some advice, entrepreneurial advice, surround yourself with people that are really good at different things. And that'll kind of help you do your thing. I'm sure you know that from your business. So I got a guy in Ottawa, Fred. I got a girl in Hamilton, Steph. I got a guy in London, and I got who's Jeff Brush, and I got Charles in the office with me here, but he also does here to Muskoka, and a guy named Corey who kind of does the East. But I got a great team, and it's easy to kind of manage that, and they all know what they need to do in those quick 6 months. And then kind of around this time, not quite yet because the sun's still shining, but around this time, things slow down and we shift gears and we plan for next year.
Awesome. Tell me about the crazy success as you launched Transfusion and how that's impacted the business.
Yeah, it's been incredible, man. To be honest with you, like we had our beer, green beer, the lager, and the LCBO for years. It kind of added a couple $100,000 to the revenue every year, and it was just nice to have in there when people were asking for it. That said, the Transfusion we've sold, I think 1.8 million cans or something like that in the LCBOs in the last since March. So if you do the math on that, it's been a pretty good year, and it's amazing. And now I'm kind of going, wow, okay. Before it was like I'm going to focus on the golf course. I'll let everybody else focus on the LCBO. Now I'm like, okay, I'm going to focus 50-50 and go after these golf courses and still see what else I can add on the LCBO side of things, just to kind of build our business even more mainstream. So it's been fun.
How do you stay ahead of the curve coming up with the new flavors? Because like we talked about earlier, people are just ripping your stuff off. Let's just call a spade a spade.
Yeah, they are. And as you said, it's flattering, but it's also very fucking annoying, to be honest with you. So
pain in the ass, especially when you get people with huge dollars, either marketing or capital behind them.
Yeah, we don't really have that yet, to be honest. So we got lucky there that there is a couple companies that have some big money but they haven't been able to kind of break down our sales. But we were first to the party. I mean, we have giant relationships with all these golf courses, so they think they could just walk in and go, okay, well, I got the same drink. But guess what? You don't have the 10 years of relationships that we had. So that makes a big difference. Yeah, man. And ours is actually genuinely, so there's one out there that's not even like the right color. Like it's a Transfusion is a drink. It's a cocktail that came from the US. I'm not gonna say that I invented it because I didn't. It's been around for years and years and years. But it's a grape juice cocktail. It's not a seltzer, it's a cocktail, and it's got lots of sugar, and it's got calories, and it's got flavor, and it's actually delicious. And you can't take that stuff away and call it the same thing. So people recognize that, and they understand what the real thing should taste like and what it shouldn't.
Yeah, it's amazing. At what point in the last sort of, I would say along any point in the journey with Triple Bogey Brewing, when did you say, okay, I can not take my foot off the gas, but I feel like I've made it now, and I feel like I've got back to that success point?
I would say this year, to be honest. It took 10 years. I said that to somebody the other day, and because we were in Quagmire for about 15 years. I would say I kind of finally made it at Quagmire when we got the Arnold Palmer license thing, and it was really cool. We were selling to Macy's and Nordstrom's and all these big chains in the States, and that was like, yeah, sweet. That's why I bought the BMW, and that's why I could actually afford to do what I was doing. And we were having a great time. But now I feel this year's kind of been the first year, that I've been able to, I'm not taking my eye off anything, and I'm not taking my foot off anything, because I know that it can also just disappear in 2 seconds too. So this is the first year that I've kind of felt we got our money back in the bank that we lent the businesses, throughout the years. We've got two wonderful kids, a great wife, and now I feel like where I should have been 10 years ago is kind of right now. So, and that's what a lot of people said. Oh, your best years are going to be your 30s when you're doing this and that. 45 now. It took me an extra 10. And now I feel like I'm kind of where I want to be and how I want to be doing it. So
that's incredible. And congrats on that. Like, so again, knowing you well enough over the years, I know the blood, sweat, and tears you put into it.
Thanks, man.
Take me back to COVID, because I mean that was just chaos for everyone.
Yeah, COVID was okay. Yeah, it was chaos for everyone. For us, it was okay because golf courses, a lot of
people were drinking too.
People were drinking, and a lot of people were drinking, and you could still go to the LCBO, and a lot of people were golfing because it was the only place you could go see your buddies, right? So, Mr. Ford, he opened up the golf course, I think in May or something like that, and we were ready because we had lots of stock because we got shut down before that. But he opened up the golf courses just as spring kind of hit to allow people to go out and golf. And luckily for us, the beer cart girl is the number one, our number one friend on that golf course. So she was cruising around and feeding everybody triple bogeys, and it was the only opportunity for people to really go out and feel normal and drink a beer with their buddies. And so we got through unscathed, to be honest. We did okay. And that actually helped build our business because a lot more people golfed, and a lot of people, because that was one of the only things that you could do. And so that meant a lot more people got to know Triple Bogey.
Yeah, that's awesome. How did kids impact you as an entrepreneur?
And to be honest with you, I knew, so before Quagmire shut down, we were going to have kids. And because we were in that right spot. Like I told you, we were in that perfect spot. And I didn't have to be out slugging. I didn't have to be doing what I was doing. So when I restarted and had to restart, we put that on hold again. That's why I'm 45 with a 3-year-old, because I didn't want to be out delivering. When I started Triple Bogey, I was delivering every day. I was never around. I was the worst husband around, and I would have been the worst father around, to be honest with you. If I had to leave and I had to do this, and I would have probably had to go get a different job. So we put that off for a few years, and the best decision that we've ever made, even though I'm a little older. I was going to say we.
Nothing wrong with old dads, buddy. I
Yeah,
got you.
exactly. But the honest truth is, it was the perfect timing to kind of see Sawyer grow up and not have to be out on the road all the time and traveling and doing all this stuff. And now Fiona reaps the benefits of that even more, because I'm not even, I'm mainly in the office and I can be home by dinner time, and I'm doing a lot different things than I would have been doing if we were just getting started and we were just having kids at the same time. So kids are the best thing that ever happened to me. I didn't think I wanted kids when I was younger, or even younger, but I wouldn't change it for the world. As you know, I'm sure you feel the same way. That just kind of changes your life and your perspective, and
Sure.
it makes you want to work harder so then they can have a better life down the road, because life is going to be even harder for them as shit gets more expensive and everything's more competitive, and people are less kind and friendly and whatever. But it's just the truth. It's I do everything that I do for my kids and families.
Yeah, man. And it shows up. I love that you're very vulnerable in what you post, whether it's LinkedIn, Instagram. You've done a great job. What do you think about when you're just sharing your story like that?
I'll be honest, when I do it, I'm usually a few beers deep.
So the reflection period.
Yeah. If you see, most of those LinkedIn posts are on Sunday afternoon kind of thing, where I've kind of taken myself away from work, and I've had a couple of pints, and I've just kind of reflected on what I've done over the past, little bit, or something that was kind of stuck in my head or whatever. I mean, during COVID, I put a post on LinkedIn, and I don't know if you call a post on LinkedIn viral, but it got 500,000 views, right? Like it was and it was about
I'd
COVID
call
and
that
about
viral.
small business and all that stuff. And when I was writing it, I was actually physically crying, right? So, and it actually showed me that stuff actually matters. And if you speak from your heart, then it actually works.
Yeah, and I think it's inspirational for a lot of people, myself included, because you drop the guard comes down, you're vulnerable, you're just sharing from the heart, and it's so friggin' authentic, and it just lets people know, like, hey man, I'm not the only one struggling, or we got to be more kind, or whatever your message is. So I mean, don't stop that, because I think 500,000 views is not a fluke, and it's a sign of something really authentic that connected with a lot of people.
That means a lot coming from a guy like you, to be honest with you. I've always kind of looked up to you and what you've done and how you treat people, and the way that your demeanor around people is it's inspiring, to be honest. So
Oh, thanks, brother. Just a couple of good dudes trying to make it, right?
figure it out one day.
Exactly. Not yet, but we'll get there. So, what do you think about with regards to, you've got a product that's still, it's very socially accepted, but there seems to be more of a push or an attract around people either drinking less or some people not drinking at all. Do you think about that and how it could impact the business, or is it just you're letting that go?
Yeah, and this kind of goes for everything that I do. I put up the blinders and I just do what I think, I think is good, and what I think people are going to want. Everybody said to me, "Oh, you can't have that much sugar and you can't have that many calories in your transfusion." I'm like, well, then it's not going to taste like a transfusion. And I think that if you look at the sales numbers, we've proven that people aren't looking. Not everybody, but there's a lot of people out there that are still okay with a bit of sugar and a few calories, when most of the other companies are going zero sugar and 100 calories and all that stuff. There is a time and a place for that. But our drink is also so sweet that you're only going to drink one or two, and then you're going to kind of go to your other stuff. And if you drink, and then I got guys email me go, oh, I had 6 of those, and I'm like, yeah, you got a big headache the next day too. I'm going to tell you that right now.
That's gonna be painful.
Yeah, but so yeah, I think that everybody else is doing what you said before about drinking. Everybody else is catering to those people, where we are not catering to those people. And that's why it's been a success. I could just be one of another million seltzers that has a bit of sugar and low calories, or I could try to do this and see how it flies. And I could show you the numbers. It's flown, man, and that just proves that there are people out there that are still looking for sugary, quality, tasty,
for what you're offering.
cocktails, right? So
yeah, again, I just admire that you stay in your lane. You pick what you think is going to win, and what your core values are.
Yeah, thank you. And they're not all winners. Like we had the half and half. That couldn't compete with Twisted Tea. We had I got a few now, which are, that's why I say I've never shown any interest or taken any notice of what kind of sales we could do out of the LCBO. And now they're my best friend. I love it, man. And this is incredible. And now with all the new stuff with the grocery and the convenience stores and all that stuff are opening up more doors. It allows us to kind of now I can get a drink that didn't get listed in the LCBO. I can get that listed over at the 7-Eleven or whatever. And so it's kind of nice that there is now more opportunity that people can try the whole gamut of our drinks rather than just the one or two that they pick.
With regards to the new distribution and the laws around that, who takes the lead on that? Are you spearheading those relationships? Because now, I mean, LCBO makes it a little bit easier. You've got one source versus multiple
so I've
customers that you're going after now.
I've actually got an agency. His name's Ian. He owns the company, Ian McDonald. It's called the United Craft, and he's gotten us into 600 LCBO stores in this past year, and that's why the numbers are so great. We kind of we steer the ship when it comes to golf courses and bars and restaurants and stuff, but that makes his job a little easier, but it's not easy by any means. But he we built it so people are asking for it at the golf courses, and now he goes in and goes, yeah, everybody's asking for it, and he has a team of I think 5 or 6 that go out across Ontario and do that. Now he's got his hands full because he also is taking on the convenience stores and the grocery and all that stuff. But he's doing a hell of a job, and he's a hell of a guy, and you'd love him. You'd love to have a beer with him. And him and I are just kind of underdogs when we're just quietly doing our thing, and we love doing it.
Yeah, it's putting the right people in place.
Yeah.
So how far ahead do you think about next drinks? Because you're constantly having to evolve and come up with the next new thing, whether it's, in the next year or just staying ahead of the curve. Who leads that for the company?
That's me. I got a new beer coming out next year, and I got another transfusion coming out next year. The transfusion, people that have tried it say that it's better than the grape, and I think I don't disagree. It's gonna blow the grape out of the water.
Really?
And
no hints. We gotta wait for this
I
one.
hope so, man. Yeah. Well, call me back in a couple months, and then we'll do it. We'll do this again.
Okay.
And
we'll keep an eye.
I'll let you break it. And my beer is going the other way. It's kind of like I'm getting older. I want to have a little bit. I do drink a few too many beers. Not too many beers, but I drink enough that I need a lower calorie beer and whatever. So I'm
watching the waistline, Geoff.
Exactly. So I'm going that direction with the beer, but we're still staying true to ourselves with the RTDs. But yeah, it's all me. It's Sawyer will take credit. My son take credit for the orange because he say, what flavor are we going to do next? And he goes, why don't you do an orange? So we're doing an orange, but there's a few others that he shouted out that I'm not going to do, but because he is 7 years old and we don't really need it.
Chocolate peanut butter,
yeah, exactly.
That just doesn't have the same ring. Yeah,
for sure. So, but yeah, that's it. I think I might have just said that. I just broke it right there. You just heard what we're doing. So
we can edit that out if need be.
It's all good. Now
that's
awesome. Orange transfusion. It's delicious. So it's already going to be listed at the LCBO.
That's exciting.
The LCBO picked it up. It's going to be listed there in February, and I don't think the other guys have enough time to go and build one themselves to get it out there. So we'll take it.
That's incredible, man. Really exciting. What would you go back and tell, younger Jeffrey at, 30, 35 years old? What advice would you go and give yourself?
I was thinking about this because you kind of sent me a few questions, and to be honest with you, I, I think it's just weather the storm, and there isn't anything that I would actually change from the way that we've done everything. And people say that, oh, don't you have any regrets? Don't you wish that you were still selling shirts? Don't you wish you were doing this? And to be honest with you, that's what's kind of got me to today. This is why I am today, exactly how I feel, how I handle situations, how I do all that stuff. So I think I needed to learn all that shit anyway. So you couldn't tell me that because you can't teach that at school. You can't learn it from your mom and dad. You have to actually go out and do it, and you got to experience it, and you got to fall flat on your fucking ass, and you got to pick yourself back up and decide what you want to do with your life. And I don't think that there is anything that I would say other than maybe during that shitty dark period that life was going to be okay after, and we'd come up with something new. But yeah, man, there's nothing that I would change. I wouldn't, even with the business partners that I had, I would never change that relationship because we had a good time. We were rolling with Kanye West and Jay-Z, and we were doing all kinds of crazy shit out there, man. That was just like, but it was all part of the business, all part of the people that I was surrounding myself with, and it was pretty, and it got us to Arnold Palmer. Like, there's nothing I would ever take back or say you shouldn't have done that because we were doing it. We were having a great time, and I don't have any regrets. So.
Yeah, it's incredible advice, right? It's just the life and the experiences you have, or being grateful for all those moments and those teaching times and the highs and the lows. And yeah, I agree. You wouldn't be where you are today doing the thing you are if all of that succeeded or went to plan.
Exactly, and nothing. As they say, nothing worth doing is going to be easy. It's going to be a fucking struggle, and you're going to, I remember 3 years ago, I was laying on my bedroom floor, 450,000 in debt, going, how the fuck am I going to do this? And now we're on the way other side of that side. But I was just, you just have to keep pushing, and you need people that believe in you, and just keep doing it. So we're all good.
It's incredible, dude. I'm so happy for you. I'm proud of you, and again, honored to call you a friend. We don't get to hang out that often, just because we're in different directions. But I'm glad Jimmy, introduced us early on at a young age. But it's been cool to watch your journey, and I think I know it's inspirational for a lot of people. Getting into the market you're in and making a huge splash and continuing to reinvent the wheel and put great product out, killer marketing, and just be a good human. That's the best part of you.
Appreciate that, brother. I feel the same way about you, and I'm glad that you're finding some happiness outside of work as well. And I'm glad you're finding some new cool things to be doing. That's incredible.
Yeah, same thing, right? It's just reinventing and learning from the experience along the way and having fun too.
And that's the other thing. Like you told me that you still have your company. I think people could learn from that too. Like if you're not 100% in, then I think that, and you can edit this out if you want, but I think that people need to learn from that too, because if you do a job or you do whatever day to day and you're not going excited about it, then what's the point, right? So you got to do what you love and love what you do, and work hard at it and enjoy the benefits from it.
For sure. And I think, for my partner and I was realizing, hey, we could only get it to a certain point, and in order to continue to grow or, evolve or change, it needed, like you said earlier, hiring great people that know a lot more in different things than we do. And, it's humbling. And I think you have to be able to put the ego down to do that. But it's created a ton of other opportunities for us and I think for the team as well. So I appreciate you saying that.
I think that's a life lesson right there. And I think that if that could get taught at school, because you don't really, I don't know everything, and I'll never think that I do, and I'll never. But there's a lot of people that think that they can just do it on their own, and that is an ego thing. And good on you for realizing that and building something from the ground up to start with, and doing your thing, man. Good for you. It's a big love fest we're having here now, right?
Yeah, exactly. I just I can't hug you. You're not here, but It's listen, I really appreciate you coming on. It was again just to, I think, I'm excited to be able to share, I think, some of the elements of the story, both early triple bogey, what's going on now, and what got you here are really impactful for the listeners. So thanks for your vulnerability, and again, thanks for just being a good dude and taking the time for us.
Appreciate you, man, and yeah, let's get a beer in real soon. Love you, brother.
Love to. We're overdue. Love you too, pal. We'll talk soon.
Cheers. Thanks.
All right, ciao.